I'm Becky Mitchell from the Becker County Museum. Welcome to the Museum Roadshow. We are doing something fun for our third week throwback. We're digging into the archives from the museum with past directors and past speakers and doing what we do best here, learning from the past. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Erin McMillan, Director of the Becker County Historical Society, and welcome to another edition of the Museum Roadshow. It may be hard to believe, but here we are in July, getting ready for the 69th Annual Water Carnival. Now, if you're quick on your math like I am, you realize that that means that the Water Carnival started in 1935. And although the weather may have been more accommodating in the past, it's going to be a great one this year. And I thought today we'd talk a little bit about the history of one of the longest running events here in Becker County. It started in 1935 and it's always been run by the Jaycees. In fact, this was the first big project that the Detroit Lakes Junior Chamber of Commerce undertook. And it's been a continuously running event. It was a huge success the first year. They ran morning and afternoon events all through the weekend, and although I guess the morning of the Saturday was a little bit slow, there were only about 1,000 people. By noon, apparently there was a parade of cars headed into town down the road. It's estimated that anywhere from 10 to 15,000 people attended this first water carnival, and they actually blocked off Washington and Lake Avenues down toward the lake to give people some breathing room. There were thousands of cars parked all over the place, and they had 4 state troopers in town here patrolling and directing traffic. Now the first chairman was Bert Leach, and I guess that would be considered what the admiral would be considered now. I don't know when they picked up that terminology, but for the first couple years they called it the chairman. And they managed all the events. Now, they started small, nowhere near what we've got going on now. And the biggest events were probably the mile marathon swim, which happened right here in the lake, the speedboat races, which are remembered fondly by many residents, and the beauty contest. Somebody from Fargo won. The Miss Northwest contest. Now, the other events included canoe races, rowboat races, and something called canoe tilting. Now, like myself, you can immediately imagine what this might involve, but I actually had to do a little bit of homework and find out exactly what we're talking about here. Now, if it's what I'm thinking of, canoe tilting is something that actually the voyageurs used to do. And what they would do is they'd stand astride on the gunnels of their boats, meaning on either side of the boat, and they'd stand up. And using their long governing paddle, the paddle that you use to steer, they would paddle their boats in race, standing up on the gunnels. Now, of course, this turned into mostly a pushing-shoving contest, like log rolling, where you're balancing on your boat, trying to push the other guy and knock his rhythm off, all the while trying not to tip your own canoe, and you can only imagine. It sounds to me like the perfect water carnival event, and something I wish they still did today. Not that I'd be joining in, but it would certainly be entertaining to watch. Now, they also had a variety of swimming categories. They had one for the crawl, one for the backstroke, one for the breaststroke. It all happened here in the lake, and actually I was surprised to find out that they actually had a boys and girls 6 to 8-year-old swimming race, which I think is pretty cool. Now, the Water Carnival continued next year, 1936, and it was as big as ever, and it went off without a hitch. But in 1937, the Water Carnival experienced its first and only interruption in its 69 years of history. Now, in 1937, the City Council decided they were not going to give a permit to the Jaycees to hold a Sunday night dance. Apparently, they'd been getting complaints about those who believed that Sabbath observance was interrupted by the Sunday night dance, and also they decided that Sunday night dances were not making enough money throughout the course of the summer, so they canceled them all altogether and denied the Jaycees their permit. Well, the Jaycees responded by canceling the Water Carnival. They believed that the dance was an integral part of the Water Carnival, and that without it, as the culminating event, there was no point in hosting the rest of it. So they canceled it in 1937. Well, the bluff must have worked because the Water Carnival came back Sunday night dance and all in 1938, and it's continued to this day. Although they've had to cancel events in the past, never once have they had to cancel the entire Water Carnival since that time. So we've been lucky so far. Cross your fingers for this year. Hopefully the weather will get a little bit nicer, and if not, hopefully at least it won't get any worse. I don't know, I'm expecting snow any minute here. The Water Carnival is still going on, and I've got this brochure for this year's. It's become one of the largest water carnivals and one of the largest summer events in the state, and it's known throughout the Midwest, really. And it's packed full of fun things. It's been expanded to include the whole week for many years. And I've got some new fun things going on that I spotted right off the bat in the brochure. We've got the Great Admiral's Hunt, which is apparently a new thing, a brand new event, a scavenger hunt that's going to be going on where you follow clues around town to find the Admiral's hat. When you find the Admiral's hat, the prizes come along with it. So that should be a lot of fun. We've also got Good Morning Minnesota. The governor, Tim Pawlenty, is going to be hosting it here at the Pavilion, and I think that's happening on Friday. You'll have to check your schedule and make sure, see what's happening. There's the annual baseball tournament, the demolition derby, the hole-in-one tournaments. There's a chili cook-off followed by, I think, another new event, the home brew contest, where contestants are invited to bring in their home brew beers. Well, they'll be judged, and then for the rest of us, the bottles will be sold off for consumption, of course, later on. Turtle races, live music, the shipbuilding contest, which sounds really promising, where you get cardboard, I think duct tape and styrofoam. You get to make yourself a ship and float it along. There's all kinds of things going on, so keep your eyes open during the week of Water Carnival now, and get your little brochure here and follow the events around. There's tons of stuff going on that I couldn't even list. If you want to find out more about the history of the Water Carnival, we've got photos, we've got old Water Carnival buttons, and we've got 3 document folders this thick with newspaper articles and advertisements. So feel free to stop by the museum this week, Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 5, and find out a little bit more about it. Thanks for joining us on another edition of the Museum Roadshow. I'm the Director of the Historical Society, Erin McMillan, and we'll see you next week.
I hope you've enjoyed today's show of the third week throwback here at the Becker County Museum, where we've dug into the archives, found those old stories of history, and shared them with you. And it's a good reminder, make sure and come in, share our stories, share your stories with us, so we have them for our future generations.